Hey everybody, and welcome to the Marvel Reports Tesseract Talk. Did you catch that? I'm going to say that again real quick. Some of you may notice a change. This is your boy Josh Webb, and welcome to Tesseract Talk presented by the Marvel Report. That's right. We have officially brought Tesseract Talk to the people, and that is you guys. Those early runs were specifically really to get me kind of geared up for doing this and answering your guys' questions about comics, cosplay, the MCU, PCU, which is a great film, PCH, which is a great highway. Anything that you guys have, I'm basically here to answer. So most of you know the format, so I'm just going to go ahead and jump right in since we have a plethora of questions. And I am going to say this, though. If you've not seen Endgame, turn this off, okay? If you haven't seen Endgame, turn this off. We're going to be discussing spoilers. We're going to be discussing content. Don't ruin it for yourself. Turn this off and then come back and watch it after you've seen Endgame. All right? Cool. I assume now if you're watching, you have either seen Endgame or you just don't care if something's spoiled for you. I know that there are both types. All right, so the first question comes from Justin Bajari, who wants to know, do you think that Black Widow could come back to life because Cap put the stones back and traded the Soul Stone for her soul back, the whole soul for a soul thing? This is a really good question, and the problem with it is we have no information. We don't know, even from the directors yet, how do you put back the Soul Stone is the question, right? We obviously know Cap didn't appear to trade himself for her, because he, is still around, so, it'll be interesting. We don't quite know that, but yes, it is extraordinarily possible. In fact, it seems kind of likely that there are going to be other timelines in the MCU, which we'll get to a little bit later. Okay, cool. The second question here comes from Mark Wasick, who said, what year do we think this summer's season of S.H.I.E.L.D. will take place, considering what happened after the snap in Endgame? That's a really, really, really good question. And there is something happening on Monday that may alter that even further. And that's the release of the Far From Home trailer. So, my best guess would be 5 years, but I'm a season behind. So we'll see. S.H.I.E.L.D's been kind of doing its own thing. So, all right. My buddy Theo, Bearded Theo, wants to know if I could turn any Marvel comic arc into a movie, what would I choose? He said that he chose the Doom War saga, but he doesn't remember his casting choices. If I could choose any Marvel story to do, that's a loaded question, is it not? I think that I would do Maximum Carnage, and I know that's kind of a lame answer because we may be getting something to that effect, but Maximum Carnage is truly my favorite comic line of comic arc of all time. The casting choices kind of speak for themselves, right? I mean, we've kind of got who we got. Yeah, I would take Maximum Carnage, but Doom War would be amazing, man. Alright, so Thanos TMT1 on Twitter wants to know Adam Warlock versus Thor, Guardians of the Galaxy 4. I would think 3. Why waste a perfectly good opportunity? They set up Adam Warlock at the end of Guardians of the Galaxy 2. And Thor joined they became the Asgardians of the Galaxy, which is a terrific comic line currently out by Marvel if you're not reading it. But they became the Asgardians of the galaxy, with Thor joining the Guardians after the events of the Endgame. It would come straight from the comics if Thor took on Adam Warlock, and there is a photo that you can look up of the two of them fighting when Adam Warlock was literally in his early stages. So, okay. Otaki Heavy Metal. He says, how do you think it would change if Kevin Hart had played the Black Panther and Bill Cosby had played Killmonger? I don't think anyone would have really seen the film on principle. And I'm also really not sure about Kevin Hart as Black Panther. The other choice, I'm 100% not sure about that one. This one, I can't see anybody other than Chadwick Boseman. Like, he's perfect T'Challa, man. Perfect. Reminds me of the comics and everything, as long as he doesn't do that weird mustache thing that Christopher Priest had going on with him. I guess Christopher Priest was the writer, but during that run. All right, David Gardner, my buddy Dave, wants to know, who are some other Marvel superhero squads like the Avengers? Where are the movies likely to go after Spider-Man Guardians have run their course? Okay, so you've got things like the A-Team, which was kind of hinted at when it seemed like a feminism moment when all the women joined up in Endgame, but that's actually kind of a nod to A-Team, which was an all-female Avengers team. You also have the Power Pack, the Eternals, which are a group that kind of function on a level like the Inhumans. They're a bit more intimate, although they do have large-scale goings-ons. It tends to focus on some specific Eternals. You also have things like the Young Avengers. So there are a variety of different ways that they can go. All right. Let's see here. Tony Gerdeman wants to know, what do you expect from Guardians 3? I like what Thor has become since Taika Waititi. How do you feel James Gunn will handle Thor, assuming he is part of the Guardians now? Which I think that, like I've already mentioned, I think Adam Warlock versus Thor it pretty much writes itself. It comes straight from the comics. I think that's where you go with Guardians 3. Adam Warlock is a pretty big character on a cosmic level, so I like bringing him in. As for James Gunn, I think he will do an outstanding job with Hemsworth. I think he knows how to borrow from that same style of humor as Waititi. You see the offbeat humor. In fact, Chris Hemsworth actually mentioned liking James Gunn, what he did with Guardians. I remember he was kind of looking at that longingly before Ragnarok had come to fruition. And that's kind of what he wanted to be a part of. So now he's going to get his chance. All right, Diego, we finally got to you. Diego Galaviz. I'm going to donate a little bit of time to you, all right? Am I satisfied with Tony ending? Diego says, I'm not. Years of PTSD and suffering, finally gets what he wants in a wife and daughter, and then it's taken away after 5 years. Meanwhile, Cap got the happy ending and got Bucky Falcon back and went back to live with Peggy. It wasn't fair. No, it's not. But that's the thing, is it never was going to end up being fair. If you looked at the extent that Thanos went to accomplish his goal, his mission in life, he collected all the stones, lost his general, and both of his daughters officially betrayed him in the process. So he's on his own, and yet he still wipes out half the universe. I'm going to give him a little time here. And then, after he wipes out half the universe, he sets up his camp, and then he uses the stones one last time, drawing the heroes to him. But by using the stones, he destroyed the stones, ensuring that his work would live on forever. And then, because of that, he was so weak, he didn't even care that Thor killed him. Like, he didn't care. He was fine with dying. And he was willing to die going the other way. Like, when Tony finally did pull the trigger, Thanos didn't really say anything. He sat down, kind of realized what was happening, and then just was gone. It was never going to be fair. Because Thanos was willing to risk everything and did risk everything, which meant you had to have that same sacrifice going the other way. Otherwise, it wouldn't have been enough. Thanos was just willing to go one step further. So I understand why people aren't happy with Iron Man's ending, but we always kind of knew one of the main was going to die. And I felt like Cap would have been a bit too on the nose. So I liked it. Christian wants to know, was Captain America there for the Avengers fights, or did he create a paradox similar to the X-Men? Because if that's the case, they messed everything, right? No. There are no paradoxes because you can't change the past. All you're doing is changing the future. So when you go back in time, that act of going back in time creates going back in time, your past. Whatever you do back in time, even though it hasn't happened yet, it's still your future because you haven't done it. And when you do it, it will be your past. So all you do is you create offshoots of timelines. And no, Cap didn't. Actually, they did because they lost the stone. Loki picked it up. So we know we have one branch, and I bet that branch leads to Disney+. Reaper wants to know, how come Thanos needed that gauntlet by the dwarves, but Iron Man's glove could use it no problem? That's the million-dollar question, right? What we know is that by that point, they'd figured off what the stones discharged. So Iron Man created the thing in such a way that that's how it functioned. But yeah, it is kind of weird that Thanos, who is vastly technologically superior to any of these people, needed an ancient gauntlet while Iron Man used, like, he had to invent something, right? It seems kind of funny. Austin Stewart wants to know, do I think they do a new saga? If so, who will the main villain be? Yeah, I think they do something, but I think they do a lot of burst storylines too. We're going to get a lot more compacted storylines. I think that maybe take up a phase, but the larger storyline takes place over an extended period of time. I've heard and seen a lot of people say that Marvel is going to get away from the concept of phases. Like they're sort of done with it. People can call them that if they want, but they're not going to be the same thing. So we'll see what happens there. Plot hole question from Cheeky Bar Steward. I like that. Cheeky Bar Steward. It involves the Soul Stone. How did anyone else use the gauntlet for the Soul Stone, use the gauntlet if the Soul Stone was Ronin's? In Infinity War, if it was possible for another to use the Soul Stone, why did Thanos just not get someone else to make the sacrifice and make Gamora? Okay, so that's kind of a loaded question. I'm not sure I understand the first part, because I don't know that Ronan ever had the Soul Stone. That was always on Vormir. As for the second question, Thanos isn't that kind of a guy. He's a get it done yourself. Saw what happened with Loki. That didn't go so well. So, you know, when you're securing the last stone, the stone that nobody knows where it is, you're going to go there and get it done yourself. All right. And I had a couple more from you guys here that, let me see. Think I'd get this better. All right. Did someone hate Bucky or Sebastian. This is Mad for It XOXO. Or Sebastian Stan in Marvel. I'm not sure. I think the plan was always to have Sam as Captain America. How do you make Bucky, who was an assassin that killed the maker of the shield, how do you make him, as Manabite brought up today on Twitter, how do you make him the guy that carries the shield? He literally killed its maker. It just, I don't know. That's kind of where I think they went with that. Is Thor going to hit the gym anytime soon? JM Zuniga wants to know. I would imagine that Thor will be in some kind of shape, or they received a lot of criticism for the fat jokes. So I don't know if they'll keep that going or if they'll casually kind of dial that back. But we'll see what happens. Pablo619 said, why didn't the whole Infinity War thing get erased when the Avengers took the old stones from the past? Because it already happened, and you can't change something that already happened. You can only change the future. Somebody wanted to know about Steve and Bucky. Is Steve at the end of the same Steve that left, or an alternate timeline theory? If he's the same, wouldn't he theoretically have been in hiding in the bushes as an old man waiting to appear? If he's an alt timeline, how did it get there? All right, this was answered. The Russos said he is from another timeline. That's a different Steve. And as for how he knew to be there, they say that's the mystery and it's for another day. But they did have this planned. Somebody else wanted to know, ANG3LN_ said, what do you think Cap's re-encounter with the Red Skull was like? I don't know. At that point, I wonder if the Red Skull, if you think about it, his greed and such, that fight with Captain America put him all the way out there in the middle of, random ass nowhere. I wouldn't be too keen to, get in another fight that could result in me being, sent to someplace even weirder. Let's see here. I think that's about it. All right. Thushi997 for the final question said, I read somewhere today that we may see Steve and Tony in cameo appearances. Look, Marvel are going to keep the door open to those guys for as long as they want. If they want to come back and do a cameo, Marvel will write it. And then I lied. The very last question comes from Ben Graft 0N on Twitter, and he said, "How come Ned seems to have known what Peter went through, but not 5 years older?" Ned was also snapped. That's sort of the answer to that. Okay, man, I love doing this. I can answer your guys' questions all day. This is going to be an ongoing thing, but it depends on you guys as well. I need you guys to participate. I need you guys to spread the word. I need you guys to share the link. And if you guys have criticisms too, be sure to let us know. Just be cool about it. Yeah, we're genuinely interested in your feedback, and we are going to receive what you say. As long as you're, being an adult about it, we're going to receive it and say, you know what, hey, how can we make it better to serve you? There's some things I do know how to do in terms of video editing, other things I don't know how to do. We're working on finding people who do, so if this sounds like something you'd like to volunteer your time for, do get at me and let me know. We can try and work something out. But yeah, we're not operating with a huge budget, but we'll try and find something if somebody wants to get in on the video side. But as I was saying, man, the Marvel Report exists to bring you guys the latest news, opinions, and thoughts from a variety of different voices. We are as diverse as it gets. We're kind of proud of that, not because we're SJWs or whatever, but because we genuinely have so many different people that provide so many different thoughts and things that I never would have even thought of, that I love it. It gets my gears going, and it makes me think of cool stuff. And that's just one of the cool things about our large number of writers. So do check out the site, do check out our work, and do engage us. We want to interact with you guys on this. We exist for you guys. And we do have a Gmail. It is tesseracttalk@gmail.com. Totally had to go to the drawing board about 55 times to come up with that email. Took about an hour and a half of work, bounced it off about 5 or 6 different people, but I landed on it. I don't know, it feels like it fits. So, for the Marvel Report, I am Josh. Thank you for watching Tesseract Talk, and we'll be back next week with more of your questions and our ideas.